Ready? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lauren Coe, the Member of Provincial Parliament for Whitby and Chief Government Whip. And I'm proud to serve the hardworking people of Whitby and the hamlet of Brooklyn. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to welcome Premier Ford, along with the Minister of Transportation, Caroline Mulroney, Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy, David Piccini, the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, and the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Transportation, Vijay Thanigasalam. I want to highlight in particular the strong leadership of Caroline Mulroney leading up to today's announcement, and Finance Minister Bethlenfalvy, the true champion of all of which makes the region of Durham strong and prosperous, and who helped make today possible. Welcome back to this beautiful community. Thank you for your ongoing commitment and support to this community and all of the Durham region. As we continue to protect the hard-won gains in our fight against the pandemic, our government is continuing to move forward with a plan to build a better and brighter future for families, workers, and businesses. In that regard, this government has a steadfast commitment to helping the region of Durham continue to grow and thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, Premier Ford has been an absolute champion in his role as the Premier of Ontario. Premier Ford has served tirelessly day in and day out, working diligently to keep our families safe and life affordable for hard-working Durham families. That is why today it is my great honor to invite to the podium the Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Ford, to make this afternoon's announcement.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for that introduction and for the great work that you do for the people of Whitby. It's also great to be here joined by Whitby Mayor Don Mitchell, Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster, and the great Regional Chair John Henry of Durham Region. It's also great to be joined by my all-star team, Minister Mulroney, Minister Bethlenfalvy, Minister Piccini, and MPP Thanigasalam. Before I begin, I'd like to address the evolving situation in Ottawa. Police have every tool they need, and their indications we're now starting to see progress. The people occupying Ottawa have been given plenty of time to leave peacefully. They know their consequences for not doing so, and I continue to encourage everyone to leave immediately. I have every confidence in our law enforcement to bring an end to this, and they continue to have my full support. Now, on to why we're here today. My friends, today's a great day for Durham Region, and it's a day we promised would come when our government was elected, because paying to use Highways 412 and 418 is an unfair burden for drivers in this region. It costs residents and businesses more of their hard-earned money just to get around their own communities. In fact, Highways 412 and 418 are the only tolled north-south highways in Ontario. It's costly and unfair. And while previous governments were fine with that, we aren't. The tolls put in place by the last government are totally unacceptable, and we're delivering on our promise to get rid of them. Starting April the 5th, our government is permanently removing tolls on Highway 412 and 418. They're gone, they're done. Getting rid of these tolls will bring real, tangible relief to the people of Durham and surrounding regions. It will cut costs for families and provide more travel options for residents, helping reduce gridlock on local roads all across Durham Region. And it's going to help local businesses be more competitive by making it easier for folks to get to them. We know that this pandemic has been tough enough on people and businesses. Removing these tolls, putting money back in the pockets of hardworking Ontarians, is the right thing to do. And I need to give a shout out to Minister Bethlenfalvy, who's here with us today. Like MPP Coe, he's been advocating for this since the beginning. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Minister Mulroney for all the tremendous work she does, because they know, like we all do, that drivers around here have sat in gridlock for far too long, time that should be spent with family and loved ones. My friends, that should never be the case, and we're delivering on our promise to keep Ontario moving. This government is saying yes to finally building badly needed new highways like the Bradford Bypass and Highway 413. We're saying yes to investing to improve, build, expand, and repair Ontario's highways and bridges. That means moving forward with over 570 projects that are underway or in the planning stages. And I'm so proud of the work our government is doing to build a stronger, more resilient, and more connected province, while not placing any more cost on the backs of hardworking people and families. Friends, our province has come so far. We can't afford to go back to the politics of no. Instead, our government is saying yes. Yes to building, yes to investing, and yes to growing. Friends, let's say yes to a better and brighter future that the people of Ontario deserve. I want to thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We'll now take questions from the media one at a time from the microphone. If media with questions could please form a line behind me. It'll be one question and one follow-up per reporter.
Premier Ford, Tim Kelly from Durham Region Media. I wanted to ask you, I asked you about a year ago about removing the tolls from these highways, and you said at the time that you said it would take until these highways were paid for. But now you're removing the tolls on April 5th. So I would ask you, what has changed in that time, and why are they being removed now? What took so long?
Tim, first of all, I trust your comments, and you did your due diligence. I also remember when I got elected, we said we're getting rid of them. And, you know, over what has changed over the last 2 years, obviously, the burden on the backs of business and people have been tremendous. This pandemic has put a tremendous amount of burden on families. It's time that we give back to the people of Durham and the region. We're avoiding gridlock now. People are going to be able to go on 412 and 418. And I just want to remind you, the person that put these tolls in was Stephen Del Duca. He was the architect of this. He said, he was quoted, he will never get rid of tolls. Well, we don't believe that. We believe we should move forward and put more money into people's pockets instead of the government's pocket.
Well, you were elected now over 3.5 years ago. Was it possible that back then, just months after you were elected, you could have removed the tolls at that time? Why didn't you do it then?
Well, Tim, good question again. There was a lot of issues, and we made a lot of progress in putting money back into people's pockets. And some things don't happen overnight, but at the end of the day, these tolls are gone. And people are going to be able to hop on the 412 and 418 and be able to get from point A to point B in a lot quicker fashion. They're going to be able to get home a lot quicker. And I think this is a real positive move for the people of Durham and the surrounding region.
Premier Ford, Fraser Snowden with Global News.
Hi,
we heard you say in a video that a lot of people have seen a couple of weeks ago that you were looking at getting rid of masking as well. We know the passport is on its way out in a couple of weeks, but we did hear that you did say it about masking as well. What makes you think that masking might be a good thing to remove when we're still in the thick of a little bit of an issue?
Yeah, well, what I do, as I listen to health and science, I've listened to the recommendations from Dr. Moore, and I'll continue to wait for the recommendations of Dr. Moore. He's sent recommendations in as we're winding down, and I'm going to follow his advice.
Follow-up, is there any indication of when that might be? Are we looking at a month, 2 months, 3 months?
You know something? I'll wait for the recommendations from Dr. Moore, as I've followed right from day one. We have a great plan. We had a great plan all the way back to the beginning of January. We're going to follow that plan. We're going to do it cautiously and move forward cautiously. And, you know, I've been accused of being the most cautious leader in North America when it comes to this pandemic. I'm going to continue being cautious. But we also have to move forward. We have to get back to normal. We have to get our lives back to normal as well. And that's what I'm going to, again, follow the advice of Dr. Moore.
Hi there, Premier. Lorenda Redicott from CBC.
Hi, Miranda.
Looking at the situation in Ottawa, you mentioned it. I mean, it did take your government 2 weeks to put something in place. People are still asking, why didn't you act sooner? Could you have avoided where we're at now? And if I could also get Minister Mulroney to respond, her ministry, we've heard that they were there, that they could have acted sooner too. First to you, Premier.
Well, let's be very clear how jurisdictions work, and I think you know this very clearly, that we just don't barge in to an area, into a city. I don't direct the police. At the time, the Ottawa police were in charge, 100%. The mayor was in charge. We did send resources in there immediately, absolutely immediately. And you see the difference. What happened in Toronto, right? People came by, they protested, and they left. And I want to congratulate, again, Mayor Tory and the Chief of Toronto. What an incredible job they did. Now, Ottawa's a little more challenging. We have 3 levels of government supporting it now. We have the municipality, we have the province, and the federal government. There's ongoing action as we speak right now. So, to be very frank, I'm limited what I can say about actions taken today, but I'll pass it over to Minister Mulroney.
Thank you. Well, since the beginning of the crisis, the Ministry of Transportation was working very closely through the Ministry of the Solicitor General to support law enforcement in Ottawa. And then as the protests moved to other areas across Ontario, including the Ambassador Bridge, we continue to work with law enforcement there in Windsor. We're working closely. Transportation enforcement officers were placed under the direction of the OPP. And we worked with them to determine what tools they needed so that they could clear the bridge and get traffic moving and get the protests moved off of our critical infrastructure. So since the beginning of the protest, both in Ottawa and elsewhere across Ontario, we've been working with police services.
A follow-up, we had heard, I believe it was from the Solicitor General, that your government is looking at making permanent changes on top of this state of emergency that's in effect. We have heard concerns from people who have protested but wouldn't agree at all with what these protesters in Ottawa are doing. What is it that you think needs to be changed permanently?
Well, we'll be sitting down as a cabinet and just speaking to the Solicitor General, but I'll tell you what will be permanent. We aren't going to allow people to block $700 million of trade every single day, affecting almost every single company that does business within the U.S., the auto sector, the farming sector, every widget that goes back and forth. There's absolutely no way that people are going to go there and block a trading corridor like the Ambassador Bridge. It's unacceptable. And I've always said from day one, I'll always protect the freedoms and liberties of people to go and protest. They protested in Toronto. Everything went smooth. They went there, they protested, and Chief Raymer did an incredible job, and so did Mayor Tory. So we'll make sure we send a message to every single business out there around the world that wants to know if we have a safe and secure area to invest. The answer is yes. We will always make sure products and goods flow across that border unimpeded.
Thank you, Premier.
Thank you. That's it?
Yes.
Well, again, thank you to all the folks in Durham. Again, can't wait. You can hop on that highway and drive for free. Thanks so much.